Recording. Okay, people, this is JD. Now, several times I have said to you all that we together can fix our government. We together can fix the federal government, which the political parties can't. See, our government is set up as planned to as was by our forefathers, would function very, very, very well. But it's not. They have taken and moved the Constitution to a point of where the Constitution is not in Congress. Now, I tell you that with you, I can fix our federal government. And at the same time, give you, the individual, a voice in that federal government. I can do it. I wouldn't say it if I couldn't. Oh, excuse me for the way I'm dressed. I'm working on my Oldsmobile, 95 Oldsmobile. I might be doing a heads job. I got some head gaskets, I think, that are leaking. I sure hope it's not a crack block. We're getting ready for some cold, cold weather. And I think I blew a head gasket. And I've done some tests. It looks like it's a head gasket. So I'm trying first to fix it with some chemicals. If that don't work, then I got to pull the heads. And it looks like both sides, I got a V6 in there, that both sides are leaking. A couple cylinders, the pressure's a little low. But that ain't what we're here to talk about. Now, some of you may say, you know, JD, you're an arrogant fool. What makes you think you, an average, everyday American citizen, can fix our federal government? Well, and then others listening to this will say, well, maybe he does know what he's talking about. Since I've been following him, he has said a few things here and there. Like, for example, I asked, who was the first president of the United States? The first person to hold the title of President of the United States of America. And you all jump in, George Washington, George Washington, George Washington. Which was it? George Washington was the first congressional president of the United States. John Hanson was the first man, and there were 7 others before George Washington that held the title of President of the United States of America, and actually filled the office of President. And if you study John Hanson's work, you will see that the presidential office, or the executive branch, is set up very much as he has said it. And that's the man that was missing when they did the Constitution. They needed, he died. He's old. Then I asked another question. Who was the first that brought up separation of church and state? Thomas Jefferson, Thomas Jefferson. No. According to the New Testament, it was Jesus. When Jesus held up that coin and said, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and render unto God what is God's. Of course, I added, and never shall the twain mix. That's where separation of church and state was established. Now, all Thomas Jefferson did is wrote about many of the problems that when you mingle church and state. Now, our Constitution, the First Amendment, the very first, says that Congress shall make no laws, either to affirm nor deny an established religion. But yet they do it, and the Supreme Court does it regular. You say, whoa, whoa, whoa. An atheist is a form of religion. It's a denial of religion. Just like the statement no is the affirmative or acknowledgement of yes. So therefore, to make any laws for atheism, you are still making an establishment laws against or for established religions. Can't do that in the federal government. That's why I say laws about marriage, because once they use the word God, it is a religious ceremony. As such, cannot be rendered judgment by any part of the federal government, whether it's the federal courts, the Supreme Courts, Congress, or the President. It is up to be done by the individual states, according to the 10th Amendment. Whatever is not in the federal government is left to the responsibility of the states. Just like I brought in about the 10 Commandments and our judicial system. Our judicial system is based on the 4th through 10th Commandment. That's why the first 3 should only be shown as numbers and 4 through 10 can be written. Because that is what our judicial system in this country is based on. Not a religious idea, but a society. Now, how can I fix the government? You say, you're just one average, everyday person. I told you I would bring your voice to Washington, D.C., and I would eliminate or get rid of the political parties. I will only do it via the Constitution. I will use the Constitution of the United States of America. Nothing else. That's all I need. And you, the people. Because within the writings of the Constitution is the tools as president that I would need to fix our government. First and foremost, when you elect me as president, you're going to be electing someone who is a leader and understands leadership, which means there's going to be people who don't like me. It's definitely. The rich probably going to hate me. The middle class is probably going to love me. And the poor is going to say, where have you been all their life? We have a republic. And we have a responsibility via the Constitution to see that our society functions to the will and the wishes of the people. Not a political party, not a special interest group, none of those. Not a lobbyist. And the worst lobbyist we have, the very worst lobbyist we have, walks around on both the Senate and Congress's floor freely. And that is the Republican and Democrat Party. It's our Congress that is totally broken. And it was inevitable to happen. But it can be fixed. And yes, I can do it. With you, the people. I'm not an arrogant fool. I'm not somebody that thinks I'm special, given great endowment of knowledge or anything. I am me, JD. You got 600 videos, over 600 videos to look at, to see what type of character I am, to see who I am, what makes up JD. And more important than anything else, you have your reasoning. Do you wish for the United States government to become institutionalized? to which people only exist for the needs of the government, and not the government is to serve the people. That's what's happening. Now, look, I'm 65 years old. In another 20 years, I'll probably be dead, or if not, close to it. So, what happens after me is your future. That's why I say when you look at me, you see your future. Because if you choose with me, we fix the government and it will run with you in charge. Whereas if you don't and you still stay with the political parties and the money grabbing groups, the richest, then expect to totally lose the individual. We are at a turning point in our history. Never before has individuals been rich enough and have enough money to totally buy Congress, both the House and the Senate. That never existed before, but that does exist now. There are corporations that have bigger budgets than our federal government. They can buy the government. Because all they got to do is buy 2 political parties and they're done. And how many times you hear money, money, money? Republicans, money, money, money for our candidates. Democrats, money, money, money for our candidates. Where can we raise this? Where can we raise that? Well, you don't think they're going to be turning to you who have nothing? They turn to the rich. They know how to get it, and they make the laws to make it so they can get it. They'll pass a law that says no one person can contribute but this much amount of money. Then they'll pass a loophole that says that an organization in the name of that person can get it whatever it wants. Though that organization is not tied to that person, but yet that organization really is, because it is doing the representation, it is buying the TV time, it is doing everything it can. It's part of that individual's campaign, though they separate it. Oh no, they're separate. They're under different fundings, they're under different money, they're under different this. Yeah, they are under different things. It's just like your bathroom is a different room in the house than the dining room. They're separated, but they're still part of the same house. But you only go to the bathroom to deposit your bodily waste, to wash up, to clean up, and in the dining room you take in food, and you might sit around the table, play games and stuff to produce that bodily waste. They're completely different rooms serving completely different functions, and they are separate. Same thing about those organizations that are separate and the candidate. Right. Both the same house. So the truth is, people, it's up to you, each and every one of you, to figure out, am I an arrogant fool who has no idea what he's talking about? Or am I somebody who has a lot of insight, doesn't promise a lot, but what he promises is probably the greatest thing that anybody has ever promised the American people? To give their voice into Congress again and to fix our federal government. It's not going to be an easy job. And believe me, Congress is going to be kicking and screaming the whole way. I mean, the White House is going to be easy to fix. Just put a leader in there, someone who has leadership, who has ability, knows what's going on, and can do the job. Now, I've been watching some years of review programs, talking of all these different people. And I find that I'm a combination of all of them. But I know how to do the job to fix the problem. That's the truth. Now you might say, well, how in the world can you do this? How can you, when Congress can't fix themselves? How do you expect someone who's very happy, fat, dumb, and happy, sitting where they are, working the way they do, thinking they're the greatest thing since sliced bread? And they truly believe they are. The Republican Party, Democrat Party, but there's no difference between them. Ron Paul even said that, and several other people said that. There really is no difference. And no American is one or the other. No one's straight Democrat with Democrat views and doesn't have some Republican views. And no American is straight Republican without having Democrat views. You're kind of like that. Just like that. Like a hand in prayer. Mixed between. And your voices is being heard because this group is saying, no, the people want this and this alone. And then the other group says, no, the people want this and this alone. But truthfully, the people want that. A solid, strong federal government, which is a combination of a lot of ideas and ideals that came from our forefathers. But Congress can't function that way. Not the way it is right now. There's no way Congress can function that way for the congressmen and senators to be representatives of the states. They can't. There's things that need to be changed. One is to get the political parties off the floor. And I don't give a doggone what Congress says, either the House or the Senate. You read the Constitution, you will not find Republican Party or Democrat Party or Federalist Party or any party mentioned in the Constitution. It's not there for a reason. It interferes with the correct functioning of the government. So, what are you, the people, going to do? I'm telling you, I, J.D. Cravo, can fix our federal government problem. You, the people, have to step up to the plate. You, the people, got to make it happen. Then what will happen is Congress will start listening to what you have to say. Congress will start having to turn to the people instead of the political parties and bring your ideas to Congress. But for those of you who don't vote, you approve of this mess, each and every one of you, because you give them your blessing by not voting. That's like saying no acknowledges yes. You don't vote because it doesn't count, right? How many times you hear your senator say, well, you know, we're getting our pay raise and I disagreed, so I abstained from it. He didn't vote. You know why he didn't vote? He wanted that pay raise. And the only way that pay raise can be not approved is it has to be voted against. The majority has to vote no. So if one person votes yes, let's use the Senate for example, and 99 other senators vote no, abstain, that's a yes vote. That's the majority. Now, let's say 52 senators abstain. One votes yes, and the remainder votes no. That'll give us 7 saying no. Well, that's not the majority. They need 51. They get the pay raise. So by you people not voting, you basically put this government in the mess it's in. And then you people who strictly vote party lines, you do the same thing. And both parties are counting on the people who don't vote more than anything else. Because if you don't vote, they don't have to worry about you. It's when you start becoming active with the government, they have to worry. So, people, what can I tell you? It's up to you to decide. Yes, I can fix the problems with our federal government. Then there'll be time for you, the people, and the state governments to stand up to the plate and take charge of their responsibilities. But it's going to be up to you. Because first and foremost, you got to put me in the White House. And that's what matters. Am I worth taking a chance on? Well, you can't do any worse than you did in the last election and the one before that. That I can promise you. But you can do a heck of a lot better than what's been done in years. And I mean years upon years. Our federal government needs to be fixed. And JD can do the job. Just read the Constitution. You'll find it all in there. Don't get a lawyer to interpret it for you. It's not meant to be interpreted. It's meant to be understood. Read it and you'll understand what I'm saying. You all have a nice day now. This is JD. Yes, presidential candidate for 2016, if you choose so. And the man who can fix our federal government, if you choose to let me do so. But it all rests on your shoulders. Once you put me in the White House, I guarantee you the very first day, right after I'm sworn in on Inauguration Day, I will start the job. And I won't quit until I'm done with the job. And you, the people, are the most important part of the job. Not just the rich, but the middle class, the upper middle class, the middle class, the lower middle class, and the poor. All of yous are very important parts of our government. Each and every one. And unless our government serves all the people, from the poorest of the poor to the richest of the rich, from the oldest of the old to the youngest newly born, and I mean all the people, then our government is broken and it needs to be fixed. And that I can do. Thank you for your time. And those of you who thinks I'm an arrogant fool, I really don't care. Those of you who want to proclaim how rotten of a speller I am, feel free. Yes, I can't spell, but that's why writers have jobs. Those of you who say, hey, this guy makes sense, tell others. And those of you who are hardcore political party people, remember the Soviet Union and how that political party system doesn't work. And all you're doing is you're enforcing the same thing that the Soviet Union had. And it's dragging us down. Think about that when you think that your political party, two-party, three-party, whatever you want to call it, system works so well. It doesn't. Look at your Congress. We need to get the political parties out of the federal government. And I can fix our federal government. Start by putting me in the White House, and then we go to Congress. Supreme Court will follow in accordance. Have a nice day. This is JD. Remember, 2016. You decide, not me. You decide. Do you want to be counted? Do you want to matter? Then you better start listening to JD. Because unless our federal government is turned around, it will become institutionalized. And once it becomes institutionalized, we the people will only exist for the purpose of the federal government, instead of the federal government exists to serve the people. Thank you. Have a nice day. This is JD, presidential candidate for 2016, if you decide it. Nobody else. Thank you.